They're starting to see.
Stuck.
They're starting to see. It looks like they're stuck right now because it looks like they're starting to have this just dramatic shift in their coverage, this dramatic shift in how they view COVID, masking. They haven't quite got there with vaccination yet, but how they view a lot of these things around COVID. And, you know, I saw this segment from CNN from Reliable Sources, which is hilariously called Reliable Sources. There's nothing less reliable.
Brian Stelter.
There's no sources less reliable than the sources that told Brian Stelter all about Russian collusion. And that whole
There's no source
hoax.
less reliable than Brian Stelter. I mean, he's the ultimate. He's the king of it. He traffics in it.
But
he's the clearinghouse for it.
I saw this segment, and aside from a few, statements, Stelter was basically talking like a conservative. He was saying the things that conservatives have been saying forever, and he was kind of doing it under the guise of, well, Omicron is not as serious.
Yeah,
so
gave him an
then
excuse.
I can take all the conservative positions. And so we have a couple clips for you. We're going to play this first one of basically Stelter just kind of taking some of the conservative positions on COVID.
I think we're also potentially seeing and hearing from doomsday doctors who push people toward even more fear, anxiety, and depression. I'm not trying to call out anybody in particular. I think this is obviously really nuanced. But is there an undue amount of fear being spread, especially in those Twitter threads and Facebook posts and, in corners of cable TV where it feels like COVID zero is the only goal? COVID zero, of course, the idea that you can completely eliminate COVID from the environment, which is an impossibility.
Fear isn't motivating. Fear just makes people afraid. For me to motivate someone to get a vaccine, to try to lose weight, to reduce their risk for COVID, for example, I don't say, if you don't lose weight, you're going to get COVID and die, or if you don't lose weight, you're going to have a heart attack or stroke. I try to help them with giving them knowledge, giving them tools, giving them information so that they can take that home with them and engage in productive, nuanced behaviors that help them with their unique risk.
And, that physician, I don't remember her name, but that physician he had on as a guest, she also said, look, we got to treat people like individuals. We can't just tell people, oh, you're going to die because of COVID. We have to look at their individual, characteristics. Are they old? Are they obese? Do they have, did they have cancer at one time in their lives? That's a huge predictor for, death from COVID. But reasonable things seem to be coming out of the reliable sources, which is a departure from the norm, it seems.
Yeah, and it's because we all die. So we don't live longer than 80 years. So there's not this really long societal memory, unfortunately. But it is remarkable. If you want to be guaranteed to be on the wrong side of an issue, go as far to the left as you can. History will show that you are an absolute fool. And I'm not positive I can think of any exceptions to that. They were positive collectivization and communism was good. They thought eugenics was good. They were positive the war on poverty would work.
Yeah.
They thought that accommodating Hitler would work.
Yeah.
The only place maybe that they were right, maybe was Vietnam. Maybe. But no matter what, eventually the truth ends up settling, not necessarily on the conservative side, but on the side that is farthest from the left.
And this next clip we'll have you weigh in on, Caleb. It's even more shocking to me. I never would have thought that someone on CNN would have ever said something like this about the CDC. And so we're going to pull that clip up for you now.
Here's a great example, I think, of how to cover this moment in time. Here's the Today Show. Here's Savannah Guthrie interviewing the CDC director, being very much in touch with the public, recognizing the CDC has turned into a punchline. It is so sad, but it's true. The CDC has turned into a punchline. Watch.
All of this mixed messages or new messages has led to a meme on social media poking fun at the CDC's advice. Tweets like, CDC now recommends eating straight off the floor at Waffle House. The CDC now says it's in fact okay to eat Tide Pods. The CDC says go ahead and get bangs. It's amusing, people letting off steam, of course, but is there a larger credibility problem with your agency right now?
And the answer is yes. There's a huge credibility crisis for the CDC.
Go. Sorry.
Yeah. No.
Much I'd like to say.
It's just they've stood by these institutions just ruthlessly without, taking a step back for so long.
Yeah.
And now they're saying, oh, yeah, the CDC seems like it's a little out of
You know,
hand. That's wild.
and I want to go to Caleb on this, but part of why he's saying this is that he feels like the CDC has hung him out to dry.
Absolutely.
He stupidly, foolishly believed his government masters, and they have made him look like a fool, which, granted, not that hard, but they have made him look like even more of a fool.
Yeah.